Hi, my name is Deborah Rojas. I'm principal at Rojas AP. We're a woman-owned architecture and urban planning firm in Jamaica, Queens. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between basements and cellars. In New York City, basement and cellars are defined differently. A cellar is more than 50% of the space is below the sidewalk level, whereas a basement, more than 50% of the space is above the sidewalk level. Some things that you can look for to get an idea of if you're in a basement or a cellar. Basements have larger windows, where cellars will have those really small windows. So if you get a violation, the first step is to decide or determine whether you have a basement or a cellar that you're dealing with. If indeed the space that you are renting out is a cellar, an apartment cannot be legalized. New York City does not ever allow people to live and sleep in a cellar. However, if you find out that you actually do have a basement, you just may not have the correct permitting for that, we can then go ahead and legalize the basement apartment. We would have to do some zoning review to determine that you have enough floor area for your lot to allow for an additional dwelling unit. But if you do, then we would file DOB job application to add a dwelling unit to your certificate of occupancy, and then you can go ahead and legalize that basement apartment.
Hi, I'm Leanne Valdez, and I'm a project manager here at Rojas AP. Cellars are never considered livable space, but basement can be livable or habitable, but it needs to meet certain requirements. Certain requirements for a basement to be livable or considered habitable: it needs to meet light and air calculations, and it also needs to meet a certain height requirement.
Hi, my name is Christian Gutierrez. I'm a project manager at Rojas AP. Basements and cellars generally don't require windows if they are used for storage. However, if you want to occupy the space, then windows would be required.
Generally, a DOB permit is required if you're doing any renovations that involves moving walls. If you're just finishing a floor, then, for example, then you don't need a DOB permit. The process of obtaining a DOB permit requires retaining a licensed professional, whether that be an architect or engineer. They would draw up the plans and submit it to the DOB for a plan exam and approval, and then a contractor can be able to pull the work permit.